I'm excited about this new series that Ken is doing on how to make a lasting impact. Nothing is worse than living a life of mediocrity, especially having a mediocre ministry. I think we all want to make a lasting impact in this life, but what is the best way to do it? Last weekend, Ken talked about attitude, using Philippians 2 for his text. And the attitude of Christ really is our prime example. In order to develop our first core value, which is community, we need to become a great church member. And to do that, we need to have the right attitude. The health of any group is dependent upon its unity. It's true for sports teams, it's true for businesses, it's true for families, and it's also true for churches. Each individual in the group must decide to put the good of the group ahead of his or her own needs. Proper Christian community will only happen as individuals have the right attitude. You know, the Bible mandates us to have an attitude of unity in the church, but remember what unity requires. It requires humility. It requires gentleness and patience and acceptance of one another. And what could bring more unity and humility than remembering how much Christ loves us? Remember how and why He died for us. We remember how we deserve none of His forgiveness, none of His grace. But isn't it wonderful that He thought we were worth it? Another attitude we must have is that of sacrifice, and this is exactly what Ken preached about last Sunday. When we sacrifice, we are acting more like Christ than at any other time. We are learning that our greatest joy comes when we put the needs of others before ourselves. In Thom Rainer's book called I Will, he talks about the GCM, which is the grumpy church member, versus the JCM, the joyous church member. We can humorously probably look through our membership roll to discover those who readily complain, or they persistently criticize and constantly view the church as an organization where they pay their dues to get their perks and their privileges. Contrast this with those who count their blessings every day, who are grateful for the freedom and the opportunity to worship with other believers. And they are the ones who are the constant source of encouragement to pastors and to staff and to fellow church members as well. The JCM is always grateful. The GCM is regularly complaining and criticizing, and they are frustrated, usually finding fault in a lot of the things that we find in the church. Rainer challenges us to move from I am to I will, because your attitude really does determine who you are. Will you be joyous? Will you be angry? Will you be grateful? Will you be jealous? Our attitudes really are the foundation of our actions. So if we have a healthy attitude in place, our actions will naturally follow. I plan to make a video each week to help encourage discussion in your class about the principles that this book addresses. The point is to talk about the ways that King's Grant may need to develop a more outward focus. We can just say that we have an outward focus, but let's take an honest self-evaluation to determine if that is really so. You can take a few minutes in your Sunday school class to ask a few questions. Talk about it. Or plan to get together in homes at some point during the week. It's up to you. There is no test. There are no graded papers, no certain language or actions that we are seeking. Just we want to provide an opportunity for you to talk about who we are and how we are making a lasting impact in our community and the circles of influence around us for the kingdom's sake. I challenge you as a class to get together and discuss the principles that you read in this book. Let the Holy Spirit guide you as you make personal changes and help facilitate corporate changes in order to embrace the vision that God has for our church. Thank you for the time that you have taken to watch this video. May the Holy Spirit guide your discussion, guide your attitudes, and your desire to make a difference in the lives of those around us. Let's all determine to embrace these 9 traits of a church with an outward focus.